everybody, and welcome to episode 27 of All About African Violets. All About African Violets is musically sponsored by Ted Yoder. You can hear and purchase his wonderful music on his website at tedyoder.com. It's also available from iTunes. Welcome everybody. Welcome to my sunroom. The light is beautiful in here this morning. It's Sunday morning, and come on in and sit down. I'm not going to talk too long today because I have a very special treat for you guys. And it's going to we're going to have a longer episode than usual. But I just wanted to tell you a couple things. We have more than, we have like 111, I think, likes on our Facebook page, which is so awesome. And Julie said that's an angel number and that I should make a wish. So I've been thinking about a good wish. But we also, on Christmas Day, I got a great Christmas present. On the website, the number of hits and views, hits or views, however you want to think about that, on the website rolled over 10,000 since July, since I started the podcast. So thank you all so very much. That was just like so exciting to me. I was like, wow, this is great. And it was just so awesome. So look, let's just jump right into tips and treasures, because the treasure I have for you today is the interview that I did with Joyce Stork back in October at the Missouri Valley African Violet Council's convention and show. Now, the sound is a little wonky and Joyce's voice is a little bit soft, but there's nothing I can do about that. So you will need to listen carefully to hear what she has to say. And I think you will want to listen carefully because, as usual, she's full of wonderful information, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And in addition, we're going to go right from the interview into an overview. Joyce is going to take us through the design division of that show, which is a whole nother thing in an African Violet show. Besides the horticulture division, there's the design division, and it's beautiful, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I thought it would be kind of a fun way to end 2012 as we go toward the new year in 2013. So I just want to look at my notes really quick, make sure I didn't forget anything. I do hope that you all had for those of you who celebrate it, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I did. I got to spend it with my family, and it was great. I had a wonderful, wonderful day. So I did check my notes there real quick. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Joyce Stork. I know you guys have met her on the podcast before, but this is a one-on-one interview with her, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hi, you guys. I'm here with Joyce Stork. Hi. Hi, Amy. Hi. So glad you're here. This is so exciting. Guys, this is my friend Joyce Stork. She is one of the authors of You Can Grow African Violets. She is a hybridizer of Petrocosmia, and I'm happy and proud to say that she is a very good friend of mine as well. And I'm really excited that you're here and that you've offered to sit down with me. I didn't really go over any of the questions, but they're all simple. I'm not going to try to surprise you or spring something on you. And Kent has sat down with me and talked a little bit about how you guys first started to grow African violets. He said you got one, someone gave you one as a going away present, and it didn't do so well.
Yeah, we killed it. We killed it. It died because we overwatered. But we had grown so many other plants and they'd always done well. And this one, it didn't take very much overwatering to tip the balance. And so just a little bit of water left sitting in the saucer, and then going a little too dry before it got a little too much water in the saucer. Okay. And I think if we hadn't killed that plant, I think we probably wouldn't be growing violets like we are today.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because it's kind of a challenge.
It was.
We wanted to maybe get it going. Do you have a favorite plant, a favorite violet, a favorite gesneriad?
Well, my favorite gesneriad would be Petrocosmia, because I did some hybridizing there, and I love the perfect symmetry, the utterly perfect symmetry. Mm-hmm. For favorite violet, Not so much because there's so many wonderful ones, but I love the trailers. I love growing the trailers.
What is it about trailers that you like?
I love the wildness of them. Because we grow violets so perfectly, the violets sometimes look too perfect, and the trailers have a more natural look. I once had a lady tell me that she thought that the perfect violets were the trained show dogs, but that trailers and species were the wild ones running out on the prairie.
Oh, what a great image.
I love that image. Yeah, I love that image.
I like that. I like growing trailers, and I like growing species. I like them all, but I also like both of
But
those.
there's a real charm in watching a plant just kind of grow and develop and shape.
Now, Kent told us that, he has employees to help him how he grows his plants and what he does with them, what method he uses. He said he uses the employee method. Now, which I thought was great. Now, the plants that you grow, do you grow yours separately from Kent?
Yeah. He grows all of his in a balcony area, so all of the plants up there are controlled by the employees. The plants that I grow are down where I work every day, and in fact it's on the wall that's right opposite my work table, so as I'm working I'm always facing those plants. They're about 5 feet away from me.
So you see them every day?
I see them every day. I see what's happening to them.
Okay.
I may not get to them right away or be really aware of it, but they're right there in my space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and now, so this is at the shop.
Yes.
For those of you who might not have seen another podcast, Kent and Joyce they are florists, and they have a shop in Nebraska called Kent's Flowers, and I will link to that information in the show notes for you. So you grow at the shop. Do you have any violets at home?
I tried growing at home, but we're doing energy efficiency at home with a thermostat that's on a timer. And I was discovering that I was getting way too cold and way too hot, and I couldn't get the kind of consistency. And then I started having some disease issues.
And you think it was from the temperature?
Temperature changes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I speculated, and when I moved them to the store, they stopped happening, and we control the temperatures there a lot more.
Okay. Well, I know that I caved and turned the furnace on early for this show. We are still at the Missouri Valley African Violet Council show in early October, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be airing this, so I know that I turned the heater on. I turned it on soon, which I would, believe me, I would have held out till I was in, my sweats in the house.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
do you feel, Joyce, that you have a specialty?
African violets.
She's so naughty. Do you feel that you're a grower, you're a hybridizer, you're a designer? Do you feel that you have a specialty, or I feel like I'm a standard grower?
Yeah, the hybridizing that I did was really just a gift from God, because I happened to have a blossom that happened to be ready at a time when I happened to find pollen in a plant that hardly ever sheds pollen. And so it was just an amazing moment. Since I did the hybridizing, there's been a lot more hybridizing, and people started to figure out the secrets. But I would say probably, if I have a specialty, the one thing I just love to do is design, and I love to do that pavé design style. But I love to do the design, and that's just the joy for me. But it's African violets. We're really supposed to know as much as we can about African violets, and teaching beginners is probably my specialty.
Why do you grow African violets?
I love the symmetry. I love that.
Kent said something really similar, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. People ask me, how do I pick a plant that I want to grow for show? And I've said before that I'm rarely seduced by a beautiful blossom. I'm always looking at the symmetry as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because we're show growers? Or is it that
No,
that's what attracts us?
I think when you go to a violet show and you see somebody who is going to fall in love with violets, they walk into the room, and the first thing they do is like they just start looking at those leaves, and they just start admiring those leaves, and you know that that's a violet person.
Okay.
that, they just get caught by that.
Okay.
But the purple palette also,
Yeah.
the palette
Yeah.
of colors, they go together so well.
Yeah.
And even when I'm designing fresh flowers, if I'm left alone with a refrigerator full of purple things, I will have more fun than if I have a room of, a cooler full of reds and yellows.
That makes sense. Well, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So you said hybridizing was a gift from God to you. How did you become interested in design? Because you were a grower first, weren't you?
Well, yeah, we were growers first, but we were floral because of the flower shop. We've been flower designers, both Kent and I, from the time we were little kids.
Okay.
And in fact, when we were dating in college, one of the things we did on a date was we went to the State Fair Flower Show and competed. We actually did that all 4
That's
years
so
we were
great.
all 4 years we were in
I love
college.
that.
We competed in the state fair, and Kent would win
We
every
need to take
class
it
that
down
he
a little bit
entered,
too.
and I would
Probably.
win any classes he didn't enter. And sometimes I'd come in second to him.
Yeah.
So for me it was always more challenging. It was fairly easy for him, and for me I had to work harder at it. And I think
Okay.
so I love that design. But violet design is not like flower design.
No.
Like a flower shop design. It's different.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, how's it different?
Well, flower shop designs, we do great big designs. Violets are
Stuff everywhere.
little, and they have little short
Tiny-
stems.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you design with whole plants, and you put whole plants into an environment where you have other things that are cut material, and it's completely different. It's challenging, but I really understand the basics of design.
Okay. Well, and guys, I am sorry. We are in a hallway at the hotel. I tried to find a quiet place, and obviously this wasn't the quietest place for this particular interview. So, people will walk it back and forth, having conversations. I apologize. And Joyce, I apologize. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What are you going to do?
We cope.
Well, I'm hoping that I can coax you into maybe giving us a little walkthrough of the design division with your designer's eye. Is that something that you might consider?
Ooh, I might. Yes.
Ooh, yes. Before we stop here, before I drag you to the showroom, what advice would you give a beginning grower?
Master two things first. Master the light, master the watering. Because violets need to have fairly bright light if they're going to bloom, and they need to be evenly moist, not too dry, not saturated wet. And mastering those two things will keep those violets alive. And then once you've mastered that, then there's three things that I think will really help promote the blooming, and it's really critical. One is fertilizing, and following the package directions, or a little bit less. Don't get carried away. Use a small pot. Violets are threatened when their roots are confined, and a threatened plant blooms. So it's a very mild thing. And then the other thing is the potting mix has to be very light and porous, so it doesn't get that saturated wet root, and it will allow for much better blooming. So if you get the water and light mastered, and then fertilize, use small pots, and have the right potting mix, you're going to have really pretty good violets without very much extra.
Cool. Thank you. Well, you guys, Joyce and Kent are the authors of You Can Grow African Violets. This is a book you've heard me talk about more than once on the podcast. It is a tremendous resource. I highly recommend that you have it on your shelves. And now we are going to go and head into the showroom here at the Missouri Valley African Violet Council's Convention Show. And Joyce is going to give us a little more info about the designs. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
Here we go.
Okay.
Hi, you guys. I'm here with Joyce Stork. We are back in the showroom. Joyce, I'm going to move in now. You guys, you're going to lose Joyce and just see her hands. She's going to tell you more about this awesome design that we looked at from the very beginning when she was just starting.
Okay, the first thing you probably need to know is that this is in the plant arrangement class. So this is actually a plant, but it's not in its pot anymore. If we were to peek way under the leaves, we could see the plastic that it's held in underneath. was just set in the pot, so it's not planted in there. And this is not a way you could grow the violet on a long-term basis. It's just done for the art of it. So Annie wanted me kind of to explain some of the art to this and what's judged here. So in a plant arrangement class, the violet has to be the focus, and I think you can see that when you look at this, the first thing your eye goes to is the violet. But we try to choose colors that work, and so it's pleasing and a color harmony. So we've got grapes and leaves, and even the pheasant feathers here have some of that pinkish tone to it to kind of bring all those reds together. I've used a very big container in this, and a lot of judges would say, oh, a big container, it sticks out too much. So it was a brown container, and it was against a brown wall, and with the pheasant feathers, suddenly that brown container doesn't seem so big. I've also used some lacy material here. This is called, oops, and we've dislodged
You broke your
it.
design.
Oh no. There. This is called transitional material, and I used it to establish the line. So the line flows right here and all the way up to the top. The main design is about 6 to 8 inches tall, and this is about 12 to 15 inches in there. So this is about 1/3, and then this portion is 2/3. In design terms, that's a very good relationship. It's a mathematical relationship. Your focus point should be at about 1/3 up.
Okay.
And so that's the science of that particular design. And it got best in class.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it
It's
did
really
very well.
beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, now you'd like to talk to us about another class in the
Yes.
design
Yeah.
section, so let's go over there. Hi guys, now we are in the one of the blossom arrangement classes, and it was called Summer Sunshine. And Joyce is this is the best in class winner of this class, and Joyce is going to give us a little overview.
And the fun thing to understand on this one is that this one is not very tall. The whole arrangement's probably about 5 inches high, so that's a real achievement. If you can pull in really tightly on it, you'll see that the flowers on this are not very fresh anymore. That's because they were actually judged now about 24 hours ago.
Oh no, that's kind of fuzzy. Sorry guys, let me get this back out here and get it back into focus. Actually, hang on for one moment. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Okay, so the flowers are not very fresh, and even the plant material has started to fade, but it has some pretty interesting things going with it. Again, it's just a blossom, so you can see there's just a little tiny space back in here where the flowers have been set into a little container of water. And the blossom stem's not very long, and the hotel is dry, so the blossoms have faded. But look at the pretty line that comes down through. I think that's
the spiral,
neat.
yeah.
Yeah, and they've repeated this line up here that you have down in the container down here. So I think that's really nice. And I love this little line of green grass across there that just gives it a little bit of extra line, and just a little, when you see it in the screen, I think you can really see how dramatic that line is and how boring it would be without it. It gives it some dynamic. So this is kind of just a fun little design, and the miniature designs are very, very simply done, so everything has to be just exactly right.
So is this a situation of less is more when you're in a miniature design?
Less is definitely more. And let's look at this little one right next to it, where you can see how very simple. This exhibitor also got a blue ribbon, and it has one flower, one feather, one piece of greenery, and one pot. And this one, you can see how a big pot can kind of be a problem, because that pot really takes over. And once again, you can see that's at about the third point up, because there's the next third and there's the top.
Okay.
And so that's a good design relationship.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Now, would you like to talk about underwater designs?
Let's look at underwater.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're over here now at the underwater design class, and I'm just going to kind of walk you slowly through, see if you can see these. These are all designs, and they are blossom arrangements, and they're all underwater. Joyce, which one would you like to start with?
Well, we're going to do a funny thing while you're right here. I'm going
Okay.
to have you go up over the top and look down in the water.
Okay, guys, this is going to be a very cool optical illusion.
Because those flowers are only about the size of a quarter. But when you see them in the magnification down below, they're just gigantic. They look like big petunias.
I hope you can see this on the camera, guys, because in real life they are gigantic. They're like almost 2.5 inches in diameter. They look so big through the curvature of the glass and the water between the two things.
Yeah, and you can see just a little bit. I'm going to stick my finger into the water. Right in there, that blossom, it's a little bit transparent, and that's because it's been underwater for about 24 hours. So this isn't something that you could do at home for a really long time, but you can put flowers underwater for a special little party and kind of just, you hot glue them to something heavy so they'll stay down.
Okay.
And put the water in afterwards once you're sure you got it where you want it, and you have an underwater design of your own.
Now, Joyce, I have a question because I have done underwater design, but not for a long time. But in the past, I notice on every one of these designs, there is some material in the bottom on a few of them. But when I was learning, people always wanted to put sand in the bottom of the design, and then that was a whole other thing, trying to get the water to settle. And
Yes, yeah. And
is
I
that
think,
just not so common any longer?
I think it's not so common because it was so hard.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe I'll try this next show.
You know, sand was one way to cover your mechanic. Let's go down to the one that won best in class, this little red one down here.
Okay. Oh, it's sweet. Look how
This
sweet
one
it is.
uses the idea that you had, and it doesn't have the sand, but it has white rock down here.
Okay, guys, I want to point out to you that what we're seeing here, this is the board, the back of the board. I'm at an angle. If I got all the way down here and you looked at it straight on,
that's good.
you would see that it is clear all the way through. That white thing is not up behind it. That is just the board that it's sitting on. But in order to get a good angle for us to see it and show it to you, it's appearing there. So.
And this designer who won best in class, it's Judy Carter's design, did this less is more thing. She's got this beautiful red flower. Look how she used 2 little pieces of fern and got this beautiful crescent line, and then used these absolutely perfect circles. And I don't know what material she's used to get that perfect circle, but it is so incredibly perfect, and the design and the bowl is just gorgeous. This is not a fishbowl, which it might look like.
Yeah, this
in the
is,
camera.
guys, this has a flat front. This bowl has curved sides, but the front is completely flat,
Completely
as is the
flat.
back.
Yeah, and you can see that when it is a flat front, you don't get that surprising magnification. The blossom is pretty much the same size as it's seen. Oh, you know, when you did that, nope, there's only one. When you start looking in from the top, it suddenly looked like there was lots of flowers in there.
That blossom is holding up well, I think.
That one is holding up very well. That she used Shoshone for that, and that's a beautiful, beautiful
One of
flower.
Ken's flowers?
It is.
Yes, it is.
I'm a little prejudiced. And once again, she used the glue gun method, where she actually hot glued the flower to a surface. And some people would say, how could you hot glue a flower and have it work? But as soon as you put the water around the flower, the hot glue just disappears kind of into the water, and even though the stem is burned by the hot glue, it doesn't matter because the flower has enough water to sustain it.
Okay. Cool.
They're fun. Should we look at my favorite, the pavée?
Yes, we should. Folks, this is Joyce's pave design, and this is a relatively new type of design that Joyce has been a big proponent of here in the ABSA. If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this is a style of flower designing that as a florist you use in a lot of ways, and you've adapted it to use in African violet shows, right?
Right.
Okay.
Lots of times you'll see the roundy, moundy designs that florists do when they do those centerpieces that are just all even in surface and it's just covered. And that's actually a type of pavée. You also see it with the flower floats that you see in the Rose Parade.
The Rose Bowl Parade?
Yeah, that's a lot of pavée design. And so we tried to figure out how to do it with the violets, because when you do an
Show it.
African,
I mean,
yeah.
it's, guys, it's flat. Do you see? It's on a dish and it's flat, kind of.
And when you do it, you're supposed to make the violet be the focus, but we've got lots and lots of colors. So the trick is to make the violet be the focus, but still pop out of this beautiful pattern of color. So this one I titled Facsimile, just for fun, and I put in a violet that was pink with green variegated foliage. And then I tried to make 2 facsimiles, and I used pittosporum with wax flower to make these 2 facsimiles. And when I did that, then I got the balance of 3, which creates a triangle, which is needed. And underneath it all, then we work this pattern where I've used hydrangea blossoms all the way around, and I've used gomphrena flowers to create these dramatic lines, and there's blue salvia. And each of the sectors, there's 3 sectors in it. Each of those sectors has the same flowers in a repeated pattern, so it really gives it a lot of rhythm, even though it's in a very flat, bowl. And they're just a lot of fun, and I really like them because I could do this on Thursday and bring it down here for judging on Friday, and here it is Saturday.
Still looks really good.
It still looks pretty
looks
good.
Fresh.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. That's fun. So this one only got a blue, and as much as I loved my design, only a blue, but it didn't win best in class because this was an incredible class that had the best in show. So we have to finish with the best in show.
All right, here we go.
Okay, this is a pretty good one, and this one didn't win, but this is a pretty good design. But here it is.
Okay, guys, I'm going to back up so you can really see it and see all those beautiful ribbons.
Yeah, this is a mobile design. It's floating. You can just barely see it up here. No, I think that doesn't help you see. There's just this little line here that's holding it up. It disappears.
It disappears in the camera, but it's fishing wire. So this just looks as though it's floating in the air.
Just floats. It's on a spectacular piece of wood, and he's added a few of the leaves just to emphasize that line all the way across. When you do an African violet design, this is a plant design, you have to use some other plant material. And so he has it with 2 things. He has it with driftwood, and then he also has the leaves. And so he's added some extra material to it, but very simply.
So those are real leaves that he's pressed, and they must be very recent because they're holding their color and they're gorgeous.
Yeah. And the flower that he's used in this is Live Wire is the name of that variety. And it has those beautiful fantasy flowers, and the dark green foliage acts to really focus everything. Your eye goes right straight to that blossom, but it has that gorgeous crescent line, and it's just floating in air. It's just a beautiful thing.
It's really stunning.
Yeah. The designer, B.J. Ohm, said when he did it, he thought it was the best design he'd ever done in his life.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm glad the judges rewarded that.
Yeah. Well, Joyce, is there anything else you'd like to tell us or show us about the design division? Can we take maybe a look at some of the container gardens real quickly?
Yes, good idea.
Okay, guys, we finished over here with the plant and blossom and underwater blossoms, so we're gonna go look at something a little bit different now. Okay, guys, we're over here on the other side of the showroom in front of what are called container gardens. And this is a dish garden. It was the best dish garden. It won best in class. And this is a whole different way to look at these. Now, Joyce, why don't you get on the other side, and guys, I don't want to flip the camera and give us all vertigo. So I'm going to back up a little, and then I will move in as needed.
Okay, well, this class, they have to be bigger than 12 inches.
So the base has to be
base
bigger.
is, yeah.
Whatever bowl they're using, or whatever it is, a bowl
so
usually. Okay.
it's about 12 inches. And you have to balance the size of your bowl with some height just to make the design eye look happy. And so this is about twice the height as the width.
So we're back into that a third of something again.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
there's a lot of math going on to get these right. And this one won the best in class with this is a beautiful Ming Aurelia tree. and she's put multiple ones together, so you have a little grove of them.
Okay.
And she has her violet down there, and your eye very clearly goes right to the violet in there because it's the only blooming part. But she has some other interesting material with it. These are Petrocosmia nervosa plants, and they are absolutely gorgeous.
Ooh.
Just gorgeous. And then this is a cushion moss, and it just has so much texture to it. This garden looks like it has been growing like this for a very
long
long
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and yet she probably just recently put it together, but she did a beautiful job. This is from Patty Daniel of Winfield, Kansas. She has a wonderful business, African Violet business in Winfield, Kansas,
Oh.
and she runs a bed and breakfast there.
Oh, guys, I'll put that in the show notes for you.
So she has a huge plant room and amazing grower, and she has begonias that knock you out. She has so many interesting plants. She's just a fascinating person.
Awesome.
Beautiful thing.
Well, now we also have some terrariums to look at.
Yes.
Let's go. Okay, guys, this is a joint effort. We have all of us holding things. I've got the camera. Judy Carter has a coat. Joyce has the other end of the coat, and Jeannie has a book. We're trying to keep the light off of this beautiful, beautiful container garden. It is a terrarium. Joyce, give us the lowdown.
Well, this terrarium is done by Elmer Godney, and he won Best Container Garden with this.
It's beautiful.
The thing that's incredible in this one, he has the prettiest grandifolia, which is a species African violet, and you can see how it's just draping off the wall. It's like, it just really feels like you stepped into Africa in this one.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then down on the floor of the garden, there's a Max Just Jeff. Not very likely that you'd have a hybrid African violet in nature, but it looks beautiful down there. It really gives the feel of a little low bush. He's got beautiful creeping ficus that's coming around the corner, and I'm going to put the
Oh, Joyce just dropped her wool jacket on my head.
but I want to show this ficus that's kind of wrapping around down here and coming around here, so it creates some beautiful lines. There's this incredible maidenhair fern that's in here, some other ferns, and the tree that's in there is a variegated ficus tree. He's really given you the feeling that you could step into a garden,
Yeah.
into a beautiful place in Africa. So well deserved. And this is a big bowl. This bowl is probably 18 inches
I would say it's
high.
18 inches and 18 inches at least in diameter as well. I mean, through the middle.
It's a beautiful piece. Really beautiful.
Okay, guys, we're at the last place here for designs, and these are also container gardens. That these are called natural gardens because their base is something that is natural, found in nature.
Yeah.
So, Joyce, give us the scoop.
Well, I'm going to look down and I'm trying to figure out what that actually is. It looks like
it's
a
an abalone shell.
Is it an abalone shell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it there. Okay. And so he's planted in the abalone shell. This one came from Patricia Daniel, who did that other beautiful plant garden that we saw down there. And this time she's used one of her begonias. Is that Begonia dredgii?
I don't know, you're
and
reading the
then
card.
down here is Begonia lime swirl. She has beautiful begonias. And this is Rob's Zoot Zoot. And then there's more of that gorgeous cushion moss that she used to hide all the soil. You can't see any soil in these at all. And this one just has such a satisfying look.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Look again how she has this at 1/3. That's at the 1/3 point for the focal. Mm-hmm. There's third, there's a third. So she has magnificent proportion. This one she didn't do that
Big tall.
yeah, that big tall, but because she has these beautiful rounded lines, it's just really a pretty little piece. And it won best in
It
its
won
class.
best in class.
And next to it is another one that is
Also very nice.
yeah, it really is. The some of the foliage has really started to fade because this isn't a natural place for a lot of these plants to grow. It's just a beautiful piece of driftwood. That's Elmer Godney here from Tulsa did this one, and he's got this lovely little Pride of Columbus is the name of that. The flowers are starting to fade now, but that's a pretty little plant, and it really sits in the very center of the crescent that he formed. And so by sitting in that kind of middle of the crescent, but it's actually, there's 2/3 and 1/3. We've got a nice design relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
And this little Aurelia here serves as a nice transitional spot. And then he just follows his line out using just some other little plants, just kind of to finish it out and make it look like it's growing in nature, and just a lot of things growing there along with the violet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Joyce, thank you for spending this time.
Excuse me, I had trouble getting up.
No, she was down on the floor. So thank you very much for giving us this great overview of the design division.
Thank you. It's fun to talk design.
Yay!
Yay.
So interesting, huh? Water and light, those are the two biggies, you know, to really get those under control for you. There's like a really bright light on my head coming through one of the windows. It makes me look like I have a big bald spot on my head. But I might have a bald spot on my head. I don't have that much hair. Anyway, sorry. But light and water, and then fertilizing using small pots. You know, no one ever really talks about this, but it's really key. African violets do not want to be in a great big pot. They want to be in a pot that's maybe about 1/3 the size of the diameter of their leaves for a single crowned African violet. So, you know, she makes some very good points about that, and figuring out your potting mix. You know, so all of those things, really great tips particularly for beginners. So I know I said I wasn't going to talk too much, so let's jump right in. Let me take you to take a look at what's on the stands. Nobody said they missed the big box violet, but I missed the big box violet, and the big box violet has something kind of cool to show you. So I'll be right back. Hi gang, here we are in the guest room taking a look at what's on the stands. Not much to report here. Everybody's just growing, doing their thing. Same down here. I've taken a few leaves off that looked a little, you know, like we didn't really need them. There's more of that to do, but I'm letting these guys go for a little while and see how they do. And here is Western Moon, looking good. Let's go to the basement. Here we are. These plants are really growing, and in fact, they're ready to go up to the next size pot, and I should probably get cracking with that. Here are some of the ones that I separated more recently. This one just finally came in. This is Rob's Wagga Wagga. I think it's Wagga Wagga. Yeah. I'm going to have to check and see what the actual blossom description is, and then I will let you know if it is blooming true. But everybody looking good here. Let's take a look in the domed tray. Things looking good here too, folks. I'm kind of making this a quicker look this week because I know that we have a longer episode. Let's go look at the baby stand. Guys, here's my Apisha Pink Acajou. And I don't know if, can you see there's a little, just trying to bloom again, and I'm gonna stop that. I want this to grow. And someone, oh look, finally, there, it's okay for this to have a sucker. Can you see it down in there? What you might also be able to see is that there are some roots sitting on the top of the soil. Someone asked about this, and it's very normal. The phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, it was my cousin. Anyway, I was just showing you that there is a little sucker, another one coming up there, and that's okay. For a gesneriad like this, that is totally fine. Now here are the Smithianthus cinnabarinas. I got to get my scissors down here because I don't think I can use a thumb Oh yeah, I can. There we go. Thumbnail works well. It's always good to have a thumbnail. And I will take that one off too. And these two look out, so you can see a lot of roots sitting on the top of these. So this happens from time to time. More often when you have plants in a dome, that happens. It won't hurt anything. You just plant them in to the dirt when you repot. All right, let's take a look upstairs. Here we are upstairs in the sunroom. Everybody up here looking good. Here is the Gesneriid shelf, and look, see in the back corner? Look, it fell over. The second blossom fell over. So I guess that Streptocarpus, that moonlit velvet, it just falls over. And here's Carrii, needs a little turn. I keep turning it, and it keeps looking at, it follows the light. So now I've got to show you guys the big box violet, because this is kind of exciting. Hang on. Okay guys, I'm over here with the big box violet, and I know this is kind of dark. I meant to do this earlier today, but the reason that I want to show it to you, I don't know if you can see, but look, it's trying to bloom. I did not think that it would try to bloom at all at this time of year with the days so short. But of course, now we're past the solstice and the days are getting longer, but still, those buds formed during the dead of winter, so that's pretty exciting. And so I just felt like I had to share it with you. Okay, I'll be right back. Can you believe the big box violet is trying to bloom? I'm so excited. I would never think that at this time of year, you know, we've just been through the shortest days of the year, just past the winter solstice, and it's got two blossom stalks trying to bloom. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. So the big box violet's gonna stay in the rotation, guys. So you guys will see it every week. Well, it's time to get the bail money ready. I told you I'm trying to blast through here today because I know that the interview with Joyce was long, as was the look at the show, but it's just so cool, I think, for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it, to see the design division. We spend so much time on our actual plants in the horticulture area and in the horticulture division, but the design division is just as important in an AVSA show. So I hope you enjoyed that. So I don't have anything, you know, there are no shows coming up to get the bail money ready for, but shows are coming up in the new year. And so one of the things my cousin gives me every year usually is a new calendar. So she gave me, well, I got to choose one. I actually got two. I got one with puppies on it, and this one that's called Zen, a Year of Inspiration, and it has different plants on it. And I don't know what this one is, but it's certainly pretty. I think it's an orchid. But can you see that I've marked the weeks? 12, 11, 10. Well, this is the calendar that I'm going to use for my pre-show schedule for the Illinois State African Violet Society, the Illinois African Violet Society's show. That's a state organization. I always call it Illinois State. It's just kind of in the vernacular. That's what we call it. And you'll see that 12 weeks out from show is in January. January 12th. So January 12th, it's 12 weeks out from show. That's kind of serendipitous, isn't it? So that means this next week, I need to look at what is on my stands that I think is going to possibly be ready. And truthfully, I don't have a lot, as you guys know. As you can see, standards take longer to grow than minis and semis. I think that I will have a couple of semis that are definite hopefuls, and I will get them on. Some of them have not bloomed yet, and I was going to let them bloom, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I will take my chances and force them to continue to grow and let them come into bloom for show in April. So they'll be coming into bloom right at the end of March. The Illinois show is the first weekend in April. It's April 6th, Saturday, April 6th. It will be in Moline, Illinois. and it's going to be a great show. For any of you in the Illinois area or in our Iowa area, it is being sponsored by the Quad Cities Club, which does have members from both Illinois and Iowa. And in order to show and to enter the show in other than the AVSA collection classes, which any AVSA member can enter a collection, but in any of the other classes in the show, you must be a member of the Illinois African Violet Society to enter. And so if you're interested in that, send me a message on Facebook or leave me a comment on the website, and I will let you know how to become a member of the Illinois State Organization. So we've got stuff to do. Now, I checked my books. I checked in my 2012 moon sign book, but from where we are now, I missed the fruitful days, which were Friday and Saturday, and now we're in Leo, the most barren sign. So I'm not going to do any work this weekend on the plants, but I did pull January out, and next Saturday and Sunday are semi-fruitful Libra and fruitful Scorpio. Saturday is Libra and Sunday is Scorpio. Both of those are great for working with your African violets. So I think I'll have some work cut out for me, because as you could see when we looked at what's on the stands, some of the plants that I potted up a number of months ago that are, seem to be getting ready to bloom but haven't yet, they're ready to be potted into at least a 3-inch pot, which again, kind of small for a standard, but you got to start somewhere. And as we know, I started over this year. So, but that takes us to, it's time to keep moving forward. And I want to thank you all for a wonderful 6 months. It's been 6 months since we've been doing this, and I enjoy it every week still. I hope that you do too. I hope you enjoyed today's interview with Joyce and seeing the show. Kind of a pick-me-up to see all that beautiful stuff in the middle of winter, in the coldest and darkest days of the year. But the days are getting longer, and as we move forward into 2013, I want to wish all of you the happiest of New Year's. I wish for you all good things in the coming new year. So thank you for watching. As you know, All About African Violets is available always on the website. It is also available on Blip TV, and you can also subscribe to it on iTunes. Thank you again for watching. I hope your days are filled with all the things you love. Good growing. I'll see you next year.